the church defines sin, the church tells us that there are two types of sin. We are told that we can commit sin by what? By thought. As we all know, the church defines sin as any offense against God. Offense could be misbehavior, it could be misunderstanding, it could be simple disobedience. We all know that sin entered the world through the actions of Adam and Eve. God created this world perfect, but it's unfortunate that Adam and Eve were not satisfied with what God had made them to be. They betrayed God because they listened to the devil, and that was how sin entered the world. And so that has brought problems into the world, and that is why sometimes human beings find it difficult to go against temptation. And so the church defines sin as an offense against God. Like I said, offense could be misbehavior, it could be disobedience, it could be anything that is against normalcy. And so the church tells us that there are two types of sin. We have the original sin, we have the actual sin. The original sin is the sin of Adam and Eve, the sin of disobedience. While actual sin is the one committed by us once we attain the age of reasoning. Actual sin. And this is as a result of the effect of the original sin, which brought weakness, both spiritual and moral weakness, on human beings. And so sometimes we are not able to resist temptation. The church teaches us that the actual sin we are talking about, which we commit, are further divided into two. And the first one is venial sin. Venial sin has to do with those common sins we commit that actually weaken our souls, but does not condemn it. While the mortal sin is that we commit that not only weaken our souls, but also lead us to hell. Mortal in the sense that it destroys. And sometimes we are able to identify so easily those sins that we can see as mortal sin. For example, murder. Yes, the killing of human being is heinous. It's very easy for us to see that. Or abortion, armed robbery, and so on and so forth. But the church further went ahead to let us know that there are certain things that will help us to easily understand what mortal sin is. And he gave us three categories. The first category happened to be that the sin must be serious for it to be seen as a mortal sin, for it to be seen as a sin that can destroy the soul. Like I mentioned before, we can easily identify some great sin that we can see as mortal sin. Then, we also discover that the church says that if we know that an act is a sin, we go ahead to commit it, it makes it a mortal sin. Because it's not a matter of you saying, let me commit it, so after I will go to confession. No. And so, knowingly done. The third category is willingly done. You know that an action is a sin. Out of your own will, you went ahead to do it. You are not forced. That makes it a mortal sin. But you find out that the church has told us that of all the sins that we commit, they are classified under four headings. We are told that we can commit sin by what? By thought. By thought. With what we think in our head. Yes. Within you, it is what you think that you execute. So sin begins from where? From the memory, from thinking. From the memory, you begin to plan before it is executed. Yes. There are some major sins that we can commit from the memory. For example, the sin of lust. If a man is lust over a woman, is here, and what is the man doing? He's trying to enjoy mentally what ordinarily he would have done with that woman, if any opportunity is there. In the same vein, a woman who could be lustful of a man. It's not only a man that could be lustful of a woman. Sexual attraction is inordinate because it's within. Then the person is thinking out of something he would have done if he had the opportunity to do with that man or with that woman. And the church teaches us that we commit sin by word, by what we say with our mouth. Remember, the Bible tells us that the tongue, the effect of the tongue, could be wider than what? The bushfire. It is easier to quench a bushfire than to quench the gossip that has come from one's mouth. Because once one person deposits it in the ears of another person, that person goes to tell another person, then that person goes to another person, is wiving. If the person who began the gossip is eventually caught, it can be stopped at its own level. But what about those he has already told? It becomes difficult to retrieve. That is why we must be careful of what we say with our mouth. We can use our mouth, our words, to kill people psychologically. Somebody can go and commit suicide because of what came out from a friend's mouth. It is very possible for a man to kill the wife because what is coming out from the wife's mouth. And once it is done, what goes ahead is what? A sharp reaction. And that's why we must be very, very careful with what we say. We need to be prudent with our words, otherwise we can destroy with it. Again, the other one is action. Action or deed. What we carry out, what we do. People commit crime, armed robbery, fighting, stealing, backbiting, and so on and so forth. Action is destructive. Very, very destructive. The one that many people do and we keep on forgetting is the matter of what? Omission. I have said one by thought, one by word, another one by what? Action. Then the last one, which is the fourth, is by omission. This is a sin that many people commit. In most cases, we are not aware of. Take for instance, it is obligatory, very obligatory for workers to go to work and work for their pay. It is a responsibility. So when you don't go to work, but you go and receive your salary, it's a sin of omission. It's a mortal sin. Because you are taking what you did not work for. And many people, because they have some persons who are at the head, they see as godfather or godmother, they can stay away from the office. Nobody does anything. And it keeps on. You are not rendering service for what you are paid for. It's also like a student whose parents have paid their fees for. Then the child will refuse to go to class. It's sin of omission. It's like a father who receives salary and does not go home to take care of the family, uses the money to go to beer parlor, do all sorts of things, very wasteful, and is not providing for the home. A sin of omission is a very grievous act. Or a woman who refuses to take care of the home. The husband will provide fund, but utilizes the fund for whatever she likes, and is wasteful. Children are hungry. The house is not well kept. A sin of omission is a very grievous sin, and it's a mortal sin. So we must be able to know that it is either we commit sin by the way we think, or we commit sin by the way we talk, or we commit sin by our actions, what we carry out, or we commit sin by refusal to carry out our responsibilities. The church is making us to understand this. Very, very important. No matter who you are, even as a president, if you are not responsive to your responsibilities to the people you are serving, it's a sin. So nobody is above God's revelation. Everybody is under regulation. For example, in the country today, there are some persons who feel that they are above the constitution of the federal government. If you feel that you are above the constitution of the federal government, it's a sin. It's a very serious sin. And at the end of it all, become troublesome. You become a problem to the country. Instead of you to help to solve the problem of the country, you become a problem that the country is about to solve. So let us use our Christian faith to judge our actions wherever we are, to judge our actions in whatever positions we hold, either as a student leadership, either as a worker, head of department, or even someone who is working at the low level. What is important is all of us must be responsive to what? Our responsibilities. Otherwise, all of us will have a lot to tell God. Because on the last day, we are going to be judged based on what? On what we do, on our actions. I will answer for myself, you will answer for yourself. And that's exactly how it is made. Thank you.